Imagine being a sensitive soul standing alone in a crowded area.
This week's City Council included some poetry describing a typical ride on DART.
The distant sirens piercing through the air, growing louder with each passing moment, signaling, implementing chaos.
Just kidding, just some nut talking about horse-drawn carriages.
Yeehaw, Dallas!
Housing crisis.
Housing crisis.
The housing crisis.
Housing crisis.
Housing crisis.
The fake housing crisis dominated the conversation this week. The DHFC and the DPFC are quasi-governmental entities that incentivize developers by lowering their costs and taxes. In return, the city gets more affordable housing. These guys gave a long, boring presentation packed with proposed changes like steering developers to build low-income housing in wealthier areas to streamlining approvals and centralizing staff control and oversight. But things got interesting when the adults entered the conversation and started talking about the economic realities of their well-intentioned but fanciful ideas.
I'm very much concerned about the funding and income and revenue implications of any of our incentive programs.
Dallas is broke, and they get most of their money through property taxes. D12's Kara Mendelson beckoned Dallas CFO Jack Ireland to ask him a very important question.
What happens when our housing values go down as we're seeing in Austin? What happens to our revenue?
And to Queen of Dallas City Manager Kim Tolbert really didn't want that on the record.
If we don't answer the question directly, we'll send you back a response, but there is definitely
I would really like to have this answer, please.
If values go down, revenues go down.
Duh.
If the goal is only to make the housing more affordable, we are setting ourselves up for a financial crisis.
Well, a worse financial crisis, and I'll explain that in another video. But this is why the adults were pushing for a 2/3 supermajority to remove any property from the tax rolls.
Anything that requires a tax break that affects our city budget and revenue, I think needs to have a supermajority.
The children didn't like that idea.
I think the 2/3 majority vote, it really just has a cooling effect on the development communities.
Lethargic Lori Blair seemed to misunderstand the intention behind the idea.
I will not support a 2/3 vote when we already have a majority. Majority rules.
D4's dependably dapper Maxie Johnson confused a simple majority with a supermajority.
Now I support keeping the supermajority and not a 2/3 vote.
He wasn't the only one who was confused, which brings us to the stupidest comment of the day.
When you say deed restrictions, what do you mean? So you guys are saying stuff that means absolutely nothing to me because there's no detail behind it. And I'm in the weeds. I want to be in the weeds, and you guys can't get me there.
I guess there wasn't enough detail in their 119-page slide presentation. Finally, here are this week's mispronounced words, starting with especially.
Especially.
And my personal favorite, established.
So today it's about establishing.
And that's that. Everything's fine in Dallas. You're in capable hands.